You knew that this day was going to be pretty quiet. I guess I'll ask, any surprises that you're seeing around you?
No, I mean, I think the one thing, there was people we targeted, and once those guys were gone, we've always said we have a plan, we have to stick to it, and we can't deviate just because other teams are signing players. And for us, we still have our young players, and all these teams that have signed players now have taken spots away from young players. So for us, I think even though we haven't done anything, you're going to see more opportunity for our guys and a better competition. And if I'm a young player right now, sitting at home thinking, they haven't done much, I'm going to work even harder this summer because I want to make that team. So it sends a little bit message to our young guys. But again, if we thought there were some players that we liked and thought these would be good fits, and it's a puzzle, and you don't want to just put a different piece in the wrong spot. You want to make sure it fits, and that's what we did today.
You mentioned still looking, sending a message to the younger players. What is the message, I guess, to the fan base who might look at Connie to say, okay, what is the plan, just for clarity's sake?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is. It's getting young players in. It's having that, 22 to 25 age kind of guys, and those are usually the ones you have to trade for. And then, in free agency, there's going to be a time when we are going to go out and identify guys and get guys because, we're right there. But to do it right now and just for the sake of doing it, because today's free agency, it just doesn't make sense. It's not part of the plan. It's, you'd rather see a young guy get an opportunity in a spot than a veteran guy that maybe has played 8-10 years in the league, and he's a good player, but, where's the upside going to be? I'd rather see our young guys get an opportunity, and I know it's not exciting for the fans that we don't do this, but, we have to stick to what our plan is moving forward. I think you like to see the young guys that we've been bringing up as we've gone along. I mean, and my other thing when I think about it, I'm going to need Farabee, I'm going to need Frost, Zari, Matty Coronado, Phillip, just guys like that we can come in and they're going to have to play better for us, and they're going to have to give us more offense, and they're going to have to take a step. And if they do, that's going to be the difference for us. I mean, those are the guys with Klapka and Pospisil. Those are what we need right now. Those are the guys that we need to rise and be better, but they're going to get to play more, so that's going to give them that chance.
When you say that there were guys you targeted and they went off the board, was it disappointing not to get them?
Always disappointing because you think maybe, good fits would help us a lot today, but that was the thing. Once they're gone, you don't just want to grab a guy that's going to be a good fit, but just an okay fit. You want a really good fit where you're excited about and you think, hey, this is a difference maker for us, and we weren't able to do that.
Yeah, why did it make sense when you talk about giving young guys opportunities? Mm-hmm. What made it make sense to bring Joel back?
I think the one thing is we needed some more depth back there. If you have any injuries, if as much as we have a lot of depth at forward, on defense, there's good young players, but not maybe as much. So that's a little bit where we're headed. So to have Joel, to know what he can do with the Mackenzie Weegar, he can play all up and down that lineup, and the way he is in the room and the kind of person he is, it just made perfect sense to us.
It seemed like maybe with Joel, the door was maybe closing a bit, and did that change in the last 24, 48 hours for you?
Yeah, well, it gets to a point where you think it's better to get ahead of something and know you have something, because again, obviously we didn't get anything today, so you have that comfort. He wants to be here, we want him here, and instead of taking a chance, we went and got someone we feel very comfortable with and are excited to have back.
We'd asked you a little bit about Rasmus earlier, did and reports about an extension, but did you give his agent permission to talk to teams? How's that worked recently?
No, we haven't. And the one thing is, I know, hey, Ras, like I said before, if he comes back and plays next year, I think you've just seen it with teams. It's all the speculation. Is a guy going to sign? Is he not going to sign? Brock Besser just signed. I mean, you see that all the time where guys go back. You think Gavrikov moves, but you also have a guy like Provorov who stayed. So there's so many. It's a long time until we get to that point, so I'm not stressed or feel pressure about it. And we actually need Rasmus to be here and be a good player for us.
You guys did lose Dan Ladar. We saw Devin Cooley have a really good first half. The numbers cooled off a little bit in the back half. Do you need to bring in competition for Cooley for the back half position?
We're working on one thing right now. It's not done yet. You know, I know there's been some speculation. It's not done. So until I get everything back signed and, you know, we know it's for sure. But we're going to add one more goalie for sure because we do think we need to have that depth with losing Dan today.
Was the opportunity just the one thing maybe you couldn't offer Dan compared to a place like Philly where he lands up
Yep,
today?
he wants to be a starter. Wants to be a starter and feels like Dustin came in and kind of stole that spot. And he did a great job, Dustin. But, you know, and Dan did a great job for us, but I think he thought there was more opportunity out there, and obviously Philly was a spot that he felt was right for him.
With the way your reserve list and your roster is sort of set up, from your perspective, where do you see the opportunity for younger players going into the fall?
Well, everywhere. Come take a spot. Come take a job. Earn it. Take it, you know. If there's an injury, you get a chance, never give that spot back. I mean, it's hard to say there's one spot here or one spot there. They're all open in my mind, you know. But these veteran guys aren't going to give you anything, and we need the younger guys to push the veteran guys to be better.
On paper, it looks like you all have a glut of middle six forwards. How do you see it that way? And for fans, you think, okay, that top end talent, when's it going to arrive here?
Well, we need those guys to step up, and if they're 10 or 12 goal scorer this year, we're going to need 20 to 25. We need the 5 goal scorer in Pospisil to go to 10. We might not do it with one guy. We don't have one guy that's going to do it. We don't have 2 guys, but by committee, that's how we're going to have to do it here.
That seems to be the formula for Stanley Cup champions. So I guess.
Yeah, you'd love to have, we'd love to have those high end players, you know, that score 50, 60 goals. But, you know, I'm thinking someone's got to rise. Is Matty Coronado a 40 goal scorer? I don't know. I don't want to put that pressure on him. Maybe I just did. But, you know, like those are the things. I don't know where Joel Farabee, and we need all these guys to take a big step moving forward.
Understanding there may not be a perfect answer to this. When you talked about guys between 22 and 25, is that the guys you've drafted last year and this year, is when they hit that age range, is that when you feel like you'll probably be going out in free agency and really trying to add?
Well, that's what we've told the young guys that we've just drafted and drafted the year before. When we're going to be good, they're going to be here pushing and being good for us. And, you know, we want one of those guys to be the Johnny Gaudreaus or Matthew Tkachuk or even, you know, Sam Bennett. We're going to need some of these young guys that maybe we haven't seen yet to come and be that guy. Sorry.
Mr. Chair.
If I can just circle back on Rasmus for a minute, like there's lots of reports out there that he's picked one team that he wants to go and play for. Has he given you any indication of that?
No, you know, right now he's totally fine with playing for the Calgary Flames. That was the last conversation, and he's always said that. He's a Calgary Flame. You know, when he comes back in September, he'll say the same thing to you guys. I love it here. I'm a Calgary Flame. And that's the thing. I don't want to just – it's all the speculation, and that's, hey, everybody's got a job, everyone's got to do it, but until something's done, nothing's done. And, you know, like I said, you've seen guys that have maybe you think weren't going to re-sign with their team, and they did re-sign with their team. It happens every day.
Do you feel like
Sweating. So hot today. It's a sweater. Is the RC working in here?
Water, Con?
No, I'm okay.
In those spots, Craig, because we've been through this, whether it was Noah before or whomever, do you feel like players maybe have too much leverage in these situations?
Well, they've earned all that. I mean, they can decide if they have a no trade list, they get those teams, and if teams want to actually make a sign and trade, they have to agree to that too. So they do have leverage for sure, you know. But they'll come to a point where, you know, maybe it's a little less return, and you just have to decide if that's the right time to make it, or if there's a way you can do a sign and trade. You know, you saw what they did with Toronto and Marner, and they got a piece back. So it's got to work for both sides.
Any updates on Zari and Frost?
Talking to their agents. Not, you know, I think it'll get done here at some point. So hopefully we've been busy with the draft and everything. So I think, you know, those will start to pick up. That'll be our priority in the next couple weeks.
And I know last year, you know, you guys had a lot of cap space throughout the year, didn't end up using pretty much all of it. Are you comfortable, I guess, this season going in with sort of that kind of flexibility again?
Yeah, you don't know when a trade's going to be made or how much money you can take on, or a team that's looking to get out of money. So to have the flexibility is always going to be better. you know, even though a lot of teams seem like they have a ton of money right now. So, but it's nice to have that flexibility, and you can add a contract at any moment.